Welcome to the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network, a weekly broadcast sponsored by CVC Success Group, hosted each week by industry speaker, coach, author, and educator Jerry Eisenhower. Our presentations are produced to assist business owners and managers in turning their business dreams into their business realities. And now, here is your host, Jerry Eisenhower.
And I want to welcome you to another episode of the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network. We put on this podcast every week, and it's all about sharing with you concepts, processes, procedures that you can put to work in your business to make it more successful, to reach your dreams. Our podcast is sponsored by the CVC Success Group. Look us up. Let us know how we can help you take your business dreams and turn them into your business realities. So anyway, this week I got a great guest up, and I'll tell you a little bit about how I met this guy. A couple years ago, I used to do some segments on a podcast called the Blue Collar Show, and it was by my friends Carter Harkins and Taylor Hill from Spark Marketer. So one day I was listening to this, and they had this guy on there, and I started listening to him. It's like, this guy's got it going on. He has got some things figured out. And then even more, as I learned about him, this guy was younger than my kids. It's like, this guy has really put some things together. So from this point, I called him up one day, and we had some conversations, and he's put some courses up on our platform. And then last year, we actually met for the first time. We were doing seminars at HPBA Expo. He was behind me. So Tim was in the audience. When we got done, man, he come up, and he said, God, that was great to follow and all that. And then I got down to sit and listen to Tim a while. So my guest this week is a guy lives out in Washington, I believe, Washington State. His name is Tim Reed. And we're going to talk about a new concept that Tim has told me about that I got some feelings going to be phenomenal. So Tim, you out there ready to rock and roll today?
Man, how do I even live up to an introduction like that? I'm ready, Jerry.
Hey, man, I'm your best promoter. I always tell you that. Well, Tim, like I said, first of all, you presently, you've been doing for a living? Tell me how you've been earning your keep in life up to this point.
Well, Jerry, for roughly the last 15 years, I have been in this fireplace industry that we all know and love. And it's kind of funny. I started out playing in a failing punk rock band, and my future father-in-law called me up one day, said he needed help installing a wood insert. I didn't know what a wood insert was, but I knew I needed to make some money. So I showed up and started working for him. And over the last 15 years, man, it's been just a wild ride and a total blessing. I spent some time as an installer. I worked my way through the ranks as a salesperson. And for about the last 5 years, I've been in a management position. I work for a company in the Pacific Northwest where we've got 5 retail showrooms. And for a while, I managed all 5 between Portland and Seattle. And recently, I've scaled back to going and managing 2 showrooms. And I also handle all the marketing for our company.
Right. And let me tell you, Tim, this is what impressed me when I first heard you talking. You were on to how people were not making the sales. They weren't connecting with the customer. I even heard you and explaining things that I believed in of why people may in some cases even be running the customer away because they couldn't listen to them. But what I know is I think Tim Reed has some definite ways to connect with customers like I've very seldom seen before. Is that true?
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I appreciate that. You know, it's funny. Like what it comes down to is there's an epidemic in our industry. The truth of the matter is that most hearth companies are actively confusing customers out of buying fireplaces. And there's a lot of reasons for this. And it's not ill-intentioned. It's not people are stupid or anything. But it's that they are not thinking intentionally about what is the customer looking for and how can I come alongside to solve their problem. So what happens a lot of the time in showrooms is a customer walks in, and because the salesperson has sold 1 million inserts, they're busy with quotes and phone calls and other things. They don't give the customer their undivided attention, and they don't ask the right questions to make the customer really feel comfortable. So they start jumping in and showing them product, mostly talking about technical speak, right? BTUs, zero clearance fireplaces, vertical termination, framing specs, all these things. The customer's head gets filled up with knowledge, and they don't connect with the salesperson. So they walk out of the showroom with a brochure and a business card. and they buy somewhere else, or even worse, they put the project off. We found that jobs are generally lost to indecision 4-1 over competition. We confuse people out of buying and they do nothing.
Okay, one of the things that I've always said in my sales courses is you have to think like your customer is thinking. You have to understand their desires. Often people buy, I say people, 70% of people buy to eradicate a pain. 30%
Absolutely.
buy to get a desire. Is that what you're doing in your process of learning why that customer is buying?
Yeah, and I agree with that, but the way that I would frame it would be even the 30% of people that are buying to achieve something, they actually have a problem that makes them want to achieve. So I look at everything as a problem. Maybe the problem might be a negative problem that the customer has an issue in their house, or there's a design issue, or there's a service problem or a safety issue, and that's a negative problem. It could be a situation where the customer does want to achieve gain. They want a status. They want their house to be a certain way, but that's actually a problem for them as well, because they're saying, I want this and I don't have it. So we look at everything as a problem, and we have a 7-step sales process that we go through. And step 2 of that process is understand the customer's problem, because you can have all the solutions in the world, and if you don't understand the customer's problem, you aren't selling anything.
So you're speaking my language, Tim, because I've even got a course. It's all about how to problem solve.
There you
Because
go.
people that can problem solve, that's who customers want to buy from. They want to buy from someone that can solve my problem, that can ease my pain, can deliver what I dream of. Is that what you're talking about here?
Absolutely. Customers are not interested in hearing how much you know, how long you've been in business, that your dad or your grandpa started the company. They're interested in solving their problem. And as you can position those benefits of your company to come alongside and show the customer, well, because we've been in business 30 years, we can help you solve your problem. Because my dad started the company, we have this family ethic, which helps us solve problems like what you have. Then that matters. But when you deliver abstract facts that have nothing to do with the customer's problem, you literally confuse them out of buying.
Man, we are on the same wavelength so much. Maybe that's why we can get along so great and have great communication and conversations. So here's the thing, Tim. I'm a lot older than you. We know this, right?
I think so.
Okay. So you grew up in an age that technology was starting to take off. But
Yeah.
I didn't grow up in that age, but I've had to learn to adapt and use technology. And I think I've gotten pretty good at it for my age. But here's the thing that I see you've recognized is the ability to use technology to increase your sales. Am I
Yeah.
hearing you correctly when I say that?
Absolutely. And it's funny how the journey starts. So I've been in the hearth industry for coming up on, I think, 8 years when I got hired for my current job. And I've been an installer, I've been a salesperson, and I'd done a pretty good job, in my opinion, of being a salesperson. So all of a sudden I got thrown into this scenario where I was in an empty warehouse, and my task was basically design a showroom, create a retail sales department, and lead that division. But it starts out with just me. I found out really quick that I actually knew nothing. I thought I understood numbers, I didn't. I thought I understood margins, I didn't. I thought I understood, sales, and I didn't. And having the industry experience, but all of a sudden being 7 years in and realizing I actually know nothing now that I'm trying to build something bigger than myself. It really shaped the course of what we've done. And basically what we figured out is we found some simple ways to build a sales process that gave customers generally a really good experience. Now, it's not perfect, but generally speaking, whether I was present or not, a similar process would be followed and the customer would be taken care of. Jerry,
Yeah.
you talked about technology. And so what I started thinking about a few years ago is, well, we do this in the showroom. There is no reason why we can't start to leverage some of the tools of the internet to help us both with our website and lead generation and follow-up, but also with customers in the physical showroom. So you can leverage the benefits of technology, but also leverage the benefits of humanity. And it's been awesome.
Right. So this brings me, every once in a while, Tim and I'll send each other an email. So about a month or two ago, maybe 60 days, I don't know, I sent Tim a note, said, hey, man, let's have a call. Let's catch up. And he said, that'll be great. I can tell you about this project I've been working on. I said, really? I'm looking forward to it. So we got on a call a couple days later, and Tim starts telling me about this new technology that he has developed. That as he told me about this, it's like this is going to be the next level of selling people. And that's why I've invited him on the show today, not just to pump him up because he's a great fella, but I think he has come out with the next step in retailing. So, Tim, I want you to tell our listeners, what is this new technology? What is this tool that you're ready to release to the industry now?
Well, Jerry, I appreciate you teeing me up like that. It's funny. We think about customer journeys as being different when someone is an online buyer versus someone that buys brick and mortar. And I actually think they're largely the same. So if you think about a customer journey, whether a customer starts online or a customer walks into your showroom, there are two questions that need answered. Question number, what's going to work in my house? Right? That's the reason they're going online. They're trying to figure out, I want a fireplace. My neighbor got a fireplace. I saw an ad for one. I'm thinking about it. What is going to work for me? Right? So question number one is they want to know what's going to work in their house. Question number two is really easy. What's it going to cost? So when a customer walks into your showroom, that is what they want to know. That's it. They want to know what's going to work in my house, and they want to know how much is it going to cost. So I want you to think about two scenarios. Scenario number one is a customer walks into a fireplace showroom and the salesperson comes up and greets them. And Jerry, from your experience, does that salesperson always, every single time, ask the right questions to identify what's going to work in a customer's home?
Hardly ever. When I had my own retail business, this was what we closely worked on, was identify what those needs and take it even further. A lot of times people would say, well, that's the cost of that unit or that gas log. And that really wasn't what the customer wanted. The customer wanted to know, what am I going to write a check for when you're done? That's
Absolutely
what they're looking for. We were quoting budget ranges. We would come in and say, okay, a gas log like that, installed from what you told me is going to run between X and Y. And I found out they didn't need to know the exact number. They needed a budget range to be thinking on. They didn't need to know it was $3,997. They needed to know if it was a $3,500 to $4,500 budget expense. Does that make sense?
That's exactly right. And I'm going to dovetail for a second, then I'll circle back to your question. But if I'm going to buy a car and I go onto Toyota's website or Honda or BMW, pick your manufacturer. Well, I want to know what's going to work for my family, right? How many kids do I have? How many people are going to ride in the car? And they're going to show me which cars will work for my situation. But guess what? They're also going to show me a price or a price range. Every other industry, a consumer has to know that information to know if they're even in the ballpark, right? Toyota's not afraid that their competitors understand that a Highlander costs between $35,000 and $42,000. They're not worried about that, right? And we shouldn't be either. So we have to be realizing that that's what a customer wants to know. Now, circling back to the showroom experience, so in a typical scenario, a customer comes in, a salesperson does not ask all the right questions to identify the options that will work for a customer. So they ask a couple of questions. How many square feet you got? What you want to burn? Perfect. They're off to the races. They get partway through the presentation. All of a sudden, the customer throws out a piece of information that changes everything, where maybe you have to switch from insert to a zero clearance fireplace. So then you switch to the zero clearance fireplace, and the salesperson's back up and rolling. And then all of a sudden, they find out that the customer's got a dog house that vents out the back, and the ZC they were talking about had to be a vertical vent. Now they stop. They go back and forth and back and forth. They kill any momentum for the sale. They leave the customers either A, confused, or B, thinking that the salesperson didn't know what they were talking about, and the customers walk out with a brochure and a business card. I send my team members to secret shop all over the place, and this is the typical experience in a Hearth store, unfortunately. Would you agree with that, Jerry?
I'd agree 100%. You know what I often wanted to have, Tim? I wanted to have a microphone in my parking lot where I could hear what customers say after they walked out the door.
Oh, man. Yeah. Okay, so think about this. So that's the typical Hearth experience. And I'd imagine if there's any business owners listening, they have salespeople that they know this is true, and it's a stressor on the business owner to always have to monitor and always have to jump in and, hey, wait, did you ask this question? Did you ask, you can't show them that fireplace until you've done the research to find out what's going to work. It's a huge pain point of business owners, okay? A lot of salespeople, too, the reason that they just hand out a card and a brochure is because writing up a quote can be difficult. and it takes time, and they're backed up. They got phone calls to return. They already got a stack of estimates, and it doesn't value the customer that's been in the showroom. And I'm telling you, Jerry, hundreds of thousands of dollars of sales are slipping through the cracks for a lot of businesses because of this attitude. So here's scenario number 2. With this system, it's called Wi-Fire. I don't think we talked about that yet, but it's called Wi-Fire, WHYFIRE. You can go to wi-fire.com and check it out. But here's scenario number 2. Scenario number 2 is a customer walks in, the salesperson comes up to them and greets the customer, talks to them and says, "Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, thanks so much for coming in. We're really excited to help you. Let's go over here and have a seat. I'd love to learn a little bit about your home so that we can show you the options that'll work for you." What customer's going to say no to that?
No, you just made me feel at home.
Absolutely. So you go walk over to the computer. This is where you leverage digital technology, and they pop open Wi-Fire. But Wi-Fire is not laid out like a typical MSRP price book or a manufacturer's website that has zero clearance, gas logs, inserts, freestanding. It's not laid out that way because those terms mean nothing to a customer. Instead, it's laid out by scenario. So the salesperson is going to open this up and say, "Well, Mrs. Smith, what do you have? Do you have a blank wall?" And guess what? There's a picture of a blank wall with a slider that shows what a fireplace looks like on it. Do you have an open fireplace? Do you have a built-in gas fireplace? Do you need a service call? Is this new construction? There's visual graphics for every scenario. So after talking with Mrs. Smith, she goes, "Oh, that's what I have, an open fireplace." And you go, "Perfect." It pops up a form asking a few basic questions. "Mrs. Smith, do you have any dimensions for your fireplace?" She goes, "Yeah, it's 36 wide in the front, it's this in the back, it's this high, it's this deep." "Oh, okay, awesome. And I'm assuming, Mrs. Smith, you talked about you want convenience. Did you want to burn gas?" And she goes, "No, I'd actually like to burn wood." "Okay, perfect. We check the box for wood. Is this a 1-story house, a 2-story house? Is it an inside wall, an outside wall?" This walks you through simple questions to ask the customer in just a couple of minutes. When you hit the button at the end, it says, "Based on your home, here's the options that'll work for you." So you say, "Oh, Mrs. Smith, here's the 3 fireplaces that could work perfectly for you. Now, this model in particular, I really think is going to be a great fit. Could we go over and take a look at that?" What customer is going to say no? So then you leave your computer, walk over, you talk about the fireplace, you're advising them a solution that's specific to their problem. You guarantee the right questions have been asked. So as you're showing them this solution, at some point, Mrs. Smith's like, "Well, this sounds great. How much is it going to cost?" And you go, "Well, you know what? Let's go right back over to the computer and I'll send you over an estimate." Walk back over to the computer, you punch in her email address, and she receives an estimate range. Never a hard number, a range. And the beauty is it is all specific to the questions that she answered. Every single business gets to customize pricing. You can customize the units that are in there, but it does a couple things. Number one is that it saves the time of the salesperson having to get a quote, because it's instant. So she instantly receives that. The salesperson receives a copy of the estimate, so they can go through it right there. And there's built-in email marketing follow-up after the fact. So when Mrs. Smith leaves, there's automated that comes from the inbox to Mrs. Smith asking for a chance to come out to the home to give a hard number, right? So she's got the dollar amount range, whatever it is, $4,000 to $5,000 or $3,500 to $4,000, whatever the range is for that product. And for her, that's enough. She says, "Well, I love the fireplace. I know it's going to work for me. And great, this is a ballpark range." And from here, the ask is to get an in-home visit. And frankly, businesses don't. When most customers leave, the business has no email, no phone number, no way to contact them. And frankly, a lot of salespeople, even if they had that, wouldn't.
So you're selling on the concept of budget ranges like we were doing some years ago.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what other features does this new system do, Tim? Is there other things it does? I'm hearing follow-up. I'm hearing it does a lot of things automatically that our salespeople are dropping the ball on. Am I hearing that?
Yeah, absolutely. The follow-up's a big part of it. So in the showroom, it's going to filter the options that'll work for the customer. It will show them what's going to work, provide an instant and customized estimate range, and then automate follow-up. That's what it does in the showroom, which buys down huge amounts of time. As we've been using this in our showrooms, it has just been amazing. Now, the cool thing too is that this is also created with a business's website. So a customer can go to a business's website, and this doesn't take over the website. It still is whatever the business has, but there's going to be a little link at periodic points on the website that say, get my estimate, to where the customer themselves can walk through some of this framework. They can see the options that'll work for them, and they can be emailed an estimate. But guess what? Depending on where they are in the sales funnel, they're going to start getting different automated email marketing campaigns from the business, calling them to action on the next step. So most websites in our industry are leaking thousands and thousands of dollars because A, they're confusing people with insider language, but B, they have no way to generate leads. And so what happens is customers go to the site, they might get excited about a fireplace, but they hit the back button and they buy it from someone else. So what this does is this starts to leverage the traffic from your website into a lead that gets automatically followed up on, and it's going to give your sales team more at bats than they ever had.
Sounds like a winner, my friend. So is there a lot of manufacturers of product that can be used in this at this point?
Yeah, Jerry, that's an awesome question, and the answer is absolutely. So when a business gets set up, they get to dictate what units they sell. They get to dictate all of their own custom pricing. Now, one thing I'll say is that because everything's a bundle price with no part numbers, there is zero chance of being shopped by a competitor because everything is conditional to the questions that the customer is asking. So the way that I look at it is, if my competition knows that I happen to sell a gas insert for between $5,000 and $5,500, does that matter? No, like everybody does. There's always a gas insert that costs that much, right? But for the customer, that gives them so much help. So back to your question, yes, as of right now, we have 15 of the major manufacturers all uploaded into this, and we have the rest of the industry that is being added over the next couple months. So basically, when people sign on, chances are we already have everything they need. If there happens to be a manufacturer that's not uploaded in the system yet, we make sure that that's taken care of within 30 days of the business coming on board.
Okay, so if somebody is interested in this, Tim, is this something that you can do a virtual demonstration of to them? They could contact you to see this in use?
Absolutely. So people can go to the website wyfire.com. That's WHYFIRE, wyfire.com. And they can watch a video of how it works. There's a link that they can schedule a call with me. They can sign up with a refundable deposit, and it's something they can take advantage of. We also have sales videos on there where people can watch real life sales that are being made through this system. And I'm telling you, it's crazy.
Hey man, this sounds phenomenal and it sounds next level. Am I saying that right?
I hope so. You know, it's been funny because what it is, it's taking the process that we've already been doing in the showroom for the last roughly 7 years, but it's moving it into a digital platform that helps the online customer and the brick and mortar. And I think that the message is, if a customer wants to stay online and not talk to us, they can. They can get their estimate, they can schedule their visit online, because this integrates, our scheduling software integrates with the calendars of the business estimator. So they can schedule that online. The person can come out to the house, finalize the bid, and the customer will buy without ever going into the showroom. We have that happen all the time. But there's plenty of customers that want to come into the showroom. What this does in the showroom is it guarantees the right questions get asked. It creates a seamless customer experience that's repeatable. It quotes instantly, so team members don't get backed up on estimate generation. And it also makes it to where follow-up happens. And so whether the customer starts in the showroom or online, we can meet them along the way and provide a buying journey that's delightful for them.
You have duplicated the car industry and so many other industries that have learned the power of the internet, which is the true story here. I mean, like I said, I'm a baby boomer, Tim. I'm in my mid 60s, and I have, myself and Cheryl, we have no desire to go to a retail store. We would prefer doing it sitting right here. As a customer, what you've just told me of the ability to get the budget range, and then a salesperson come and meet with me and explain to me how this is going to do it, I'm sold. That's how you sell to me. Because a lot of people may think, well, this is just for young people. It's not. Many baby boomers, this is their preferred way of shopping now. And I just think, like I said, when you told me about this, it's like, I think you're on something, brother. I really think it does. So, folks, listen in to Tim. If you want to know more about this, reach out to his website. It's whyfire.com. Is that correct, Tim?
Absolutely. WHYFIRE, yfire.com. And Jerry, I'll tell you this, because you have an awesome audience. So I was thinking about what can we do for them to sweeten the pot. So if anybody signs up for Wi-Fire, number one, there's a 60-day money back guarantee. So if it sucks, I want you to cancel it. But if this is something that you stick with, you're going to get 1 month of free service out of it. So go to yfire.com, set up a call with me. We can talk about it. I can demo you through it. And if you don't like it, we can give you your money back. But if you continue the service, you're going to get 1 month free.
There you go. Well, I do know this, that if you get Tim Reed on the phone, it will be a time of value to you, because Tim can share with you some phenomenal ideas. And you probably wouldn't mind drifting off the subject just for a little bit in one of those calls, would you, Tim?
Yeah, Jerry, I love talking sales. I'm passionate about our industry and the sales process in general, so I'm sure that the conversation is going to head that way. And I'll tell you a funny story. This is where I think it's really, really cool, is that in our industry, and Jerry, you talk about this in your podcast, is that there's a crisis of help. We have no one to hire, right? 3% unemployment rate, all the things that we talk about. And very often we think that salespeople have to have a certain level of technical knowledge to do all these things. And that's true. We do want technical knowledge. I am not knocking that at all. But a tool like this in the showroom helps someone that is not quite as knowledgeable be able to ask the right questions, show the fireplaces that work, give a range, and then send out the bid estimator, the person with every bit of technical knowledge to fine tune that number in the house. It's a win-win. And I was talking to a friend out of Florida the other day. He was saying, man, I could use this for my new hires. Like this is exactly what we've been looking for.
That's it, brother. Well, listen, folks, if you want a way to increase your sales, you want a way to make more sales, you want a way to capture that customer that's probably walking out of your door, just like Tim said, clutching a brochure and a business card, but they've also got that credit card tightly clutched also. They've never let you have it yet. This just may be your secret sauce and how to make this happen. So look up Tim. Brother, I appreciate your time today on this podcast. And listen in, another thing, Tim has a podcast also. I've actually been honored enough to be on there. Tell people how to find your podcast, Tim.
Well, I appreciate that, Jerry. Yeah, we have a podcast that is called the Fire Time Podcast. It's available in all the different podcast catchers, and we run it in seasons. So right now we're in between seasons 3 and 4. Season 4 is going to kick off at the HPBA this year with a live episode where I have a conversation with Grant Falco out of Falco's in Spokane, Washington, and Stephen Schroeder, the co-CEO of Napoleon. So if a conversation like this, with me and Jerry, has been valuable for you, I'm sure that you'll like the podcast of the Fire. I'm saying it again. But if this podcast has been valuable for you, I will enjoy the Fire podcast as well.
That's it, brother. Well, Tim, I appreciate it. And with that, we're going to end this episode of the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network, sponsored by the CVC Success Group. Remember, our mission is to help you take those business dreams and turn them into your business reality. And we appreciate you joining this week with me and Tim on here. Tune us in every week for more great ideas on how to move to the next level in your business.
Thanks for joining us here each week at the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network, sponsored by CVC Success Group, providing you the coaching and educational outreach services you need to move to your dream destination in business and in life.